All right, so I watched Superman, the Man of Tomorrow, which Man of Tomorrow would have been a great title for a Man of Steel 2 film instead of calling it Man of Steel 2, you know. Because it's like, well, that's one of his nicknames, you know. I mean, he's already called Superman, but... I guess the third film just could have been called Superman, you know. There were others that they would toss around in the comics. One in particular in the old days, the Action Ace. Yeah, I don't think that would have worked out so great. But anyway, a little did I know, I'm a little late to the game here, that this is all part of a new animated shared universe. They'd had one before that was loosely based on the New 52 iteration of those characters, and they brought that to a close. And so then they launched another one. This one, and it began, why is it called Tomorrowverse? Well, because it began with Superman, Man of Tomorrow. So is this a great Superman tale? No, not really. It has its moments, but right off the bat, speaking of bats, apparently Batman existed before Superman in this one too. There's a little nod to him there, which inspires him to develop his costume. And there is a nod to the idea that Martha Kent designed the Superman outfit based on what he was wrapped in the rocket. This is an origin story, just not completely. I mean, you don't see Krypton explode and Superman arrive to the Kents. We do get a brief scene of his boyhood with the Kents and dealing with his fears of not being accepted because he's an alien. Yeah, that again. And so then he's just an intern at the Daily Planet. He meets Lois Lane. Now, I'll give him this. They really went full on just bitch with Lois Lane here. But it's the setting is that, she'll come around later, you know, but she's just really rotten to him, uses him and stuff, which is, it's fine. I kind of think that's kind of the personality of Lois for the most part, but she warms to him, and then there's a relationship, and she grows up later on, you know. So that's that. Right off the bat, supposedly, I say supposedly, the main villain is the Parasite. This is a new take on him, more or less, in that he starts out as the Parasite, and then he becomes the Xenomorph, and then he becomes a Godzilla Xenomorph. And then becomes the real hero of the whole story. Superman is just kind of pathetic. I mean, he's a freshman superhero in this, and he makes a lot of mistakes. A lot of people are put at terrible risk. Lobo shows up as well, looking for the last Kryptonian. And then Martian Manhunter makes an appearance too. So all the elements there say, hey, we got to set up, this is a shared universe. There's other super beings around. And that's basically what they do. Lex Luthor is there, of course, but he immediately gets taken down by Lois because she exposes some corruption on his part, and he has to go to jail. But don't worry, he'll get out. There were some plot points here that does work for it, but a lot of it, I think it was to the detriment of Superman, the character. I just didn't really like it. He does heroic things here. You know, he's going against odds that he's already been proven to be vulnerable to the Parasite and the dangers there, and he could lose his life, but he keeps struggling to try. But ultimately, Parasite was an ordinary man, and through a series, because of Lobo's fault, that he becomes Parasite. And then they kind of like make nice with Lobo at the end as he takes off back into space. I guess they were thinking this was some meaningful meeting between Superman, the Martian Manhunter, and Lobo, as they're all three the last of their species, more or less, although Lobo reveals there's more Martians out there, so John Jones has got to go find them. But Okay, well, so Parasite is the real hero as he realizes all he wanted to be was a good father and husband, and he's not going to be able to do that now that he's this giant monster. But there's a nuclear reactor about to go off, and so he absorbs all that energy to save everybody, and well, it kills him in the end. So, oh boy, that's too bad. So it just wasn't all that great. I have seen other movies in the Tomorrowverse, did not realize they were part of a Tomorrowverse, and they're better than this, so it's not all of a loss, but I figured I better take a look at these and say what I think for the channel. You know, I've got a big interest in DC characters, and we'll see what they do. And I'm guessing they'll wrap this up rather shortly, when because James Gunn says he wants all the DC properties to be integrated, if that's still the plan. I mean, we'll see. But one of the things I kept thinking about this is that, yes, this is a movie to set up a universe rather than just be a Superman movie, with these other characters featured in it, and then, of course, an admission that there's a Batman in Gotham and this sort of thing. But I couldn't help but think that this might be the template or approach that James Gunn will take for Superman Legacy. You know, I mean, there'll be these other universe characters in there, and maybe it'll work out okay with that. I didn't really appreciate it here, but there was a lot here that, I mean, I do think James Gunn could do an excellent Lobo movie. I don't know that Lobo would appear in Legacy just yet, but Guy Gardner will be in there apparently. That's been cast. So, you know, it's kind of I don't know how to approach it. And Clark is played off as, you know, there's an innocence to him and to Superman and stuff like that. And I understand that to a point. But here it comes close to him being kind of stupid. And that's concerning. And I don't know if that would play an influence on it. But as a setup movie, which sounds like that's what Legacy will be, I think this gives you a pretty good idea of what kind of film it may end up being. Which Superman Man of Tomorrow is still an origin movie. I mean, it's still fresh to it. That's been back and forth with Guns. It's not an origin movie, it's just a Superman movie. It says, well, then you could have used Henry Cavill. No, he's too old. Oh, so you want a younger Superman? I never said I wanted a younger Superman. So, well, wait and see, of course. But anyway, I didn't much care for this Superman cartoon. So, but perhaps you felt differently and got some enjoyment out of it. There's some interesting moments in it here and there, but for the most part, kind of a bad start for the Tomorrowverse.